Well, like,
Zero.
my thing about the Diddy thing is, like, I don't really give a fuck. These people are they're of age. They're like 18 years old. And is it shitty what he's doing, trying to, like, use people and leverage them into do these weird sexual things and, like, sick shit, just the most sick shit you could possibly think of. But, like, the way I look at it is these people are using this Diddy stuff. All it does is, like, take away from the real child trafficking that's going on with, like, underage kids, right? There's, like, what, 300,000 something, like, missing kids. Like, talking about Diddy and his oil parties with these 18-year-olds, like, do I think it's good? No. I want to beat up their dad, but other than that, I don't really give a fuck if there's, like, 18 to 19-year-olds that are doing this stuff, as long as they're not being, like, actually, like, physically raped. But I mean, it seems like what's going on is just like this weird cultish thing where they slowly get creep closer and closer and closer to this thing. Like, oh, I'm here now. All these famous people are here. They're doing this, like,
elaborate parties, lots of money, everything you want, the golden carrot at the end of the stick.
Right.
So the thing is, he's not even being charged for any of the things you just brought up. He's not being charged for blackmail, which is kind of crazy because, like, what did they do?
Why? The silence surrounding the alleged Diddy tapes is becoming louder by the day, and that silence is raising serious questions. When accusations this serious fade into the background with no real answers, no public outrage, and no legal consequences, at least not yet, it naturally leads to uncomfortable speculation. Is this more than just a media blackout? Could this be a carefully controlled narrative, a calculated outcome designed not to uncover the truth, but to bury it? The situation grows even more unsettling when you consider the details that have quietly surfaced. One of the most talked about revelations is that James Comey's daughter is reportedly involved in a related legal case, serving as the judge. And let's be honest, that alone has ignited a wave of suspicion. Add in the growing prediction that Diddy will simply walk, and what you have is the creeping suspicion of a larger, more powerful network operating behind the scenes. A network built to protect certain individuals, conceal certain truths, and manipulate the public narrative before the full story ever sees daylight. But let's be clear, this isn't just about Diddy. This is about the systemic mechanisms that have long shielded the elite from accountability. It's about how influence, money, and connections can bend the rules, shift the spotlight, and erase consequences when justice appears selective. When high-profile figures seem immune to scrutiny, we have to ask, who's pulling the strings, and why are we being kept in the dark? If you're tired of watching the same story play out over and over, where the powerful walk free and the truth is buried deep, then stick around. I'm diving deeper into these hidden connections, media manipulation, and the forces working overtime to control what you see and what you don't. Subscribe to this channel right now and turn on notifications, because in a world full of smoke and mirrors, we're here to shine a light on what's really going on. This story is far from over.
I don't think he's gonna spend any time.
And this is what Kurt Metzger called
a long time ago.
As soon as he saw that it was Comey's daughter,
he was like, oh, he's going to walk. Trust me, he's going to walk. There's
a bunch of high-profile people
that are connected to this.
Yeah.
They're covering it all up. If he goes down, they go down.
So he's not going to go down.
Now, let's turn our attention to the ever-darkening shadows of the Epstein case, where the disappearance of alleged video evidence adds a whole new layer of chilling intrigue. For years, whispers have swirled about the existence of thousands of hours of tapes said to contain footage of some of the world's most powerful individuals involved in unspeakable acts behind closed doors. These weren't just fringe conspiracy theories. Figures with direct ties to major investigations, like Pam Bondi, who held a prominent role in the Trump administration, publicly claimed that tens of thousands of videos were actively being reviewed. The implication that Epstein's operation wasn't just about personal perversion, it was a sophisticated system of entrapment designed to record, control, and blackmail the elite. But then came a stunning contradiction. The FBI director, during a high-profile briefing, casually denied the existence of such a trove, stating there were no such videos in their possession. Just like that, the narrative shifted, raising eyebrows and setting off alarm bells for anyone following the case. How do you go from officials claiming to review tens of thousands of videos to suddenly, officially, acknowledging none at all? Were the tapes destroyed, hidden, or never collected in the first place? Or worse, were they suppressed by people in power to protect reputations and preserve a broken system? This contradiction is more than just an oversight, it's a glaring hole in one of the most disturbing scandals of our time. It leaves us asking the question no one in authority seems willing to answer. Where did the evidence go? Was it buried to protect high-profile figures from exposure? Was it quietly handed off, edited, or selectively erased? And perhaps most importantly, if these videos really did exist, what does their disappearance say about the institutions tasked with upholding justice? The Epstein case has never just been about one man's crimes, it's about the network around him, the people who enabled him, and the mechanisms that allowed his operation to flourish for decades. The missing video evidence isn't just a loose end, it could be the key to unraveling a much deeper web of power, corruption, and cover-up. Until those questions are answered, the public is left in the dark, staring into the void where justice should be and wondering just how deep this rabbit hole goes.
Yep, and then we I don't know what happened with
and
Ghislaine
you don't
Maxwell.
think
What's
they
she
could
doing
fake
right
the
now?
moon landing?
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. They got videotape, and all of a sudden they don't. You know, you have the director of the FBI on this show saying there's no if there was, nothing you're looking for is on those tapes. Like, what? Why'd they say there was thousands of hours of tapes of people doing horrible shit? Why'd they say that?
Right.
Didn't Pam Bondi say that?
What, are you talking about Epstein or Diddy?
Yeah, Epstein.
Epstein. Yeah, she said it literally, I think, a week before you had the FBI director sitting here telling you there was nothing, right?
She said something about that there was like thousands
Yes.
of hours of tapes of people doing horrible crimes.
There is. And didn't the FBI dude say that there was nothing?
Cash Patel said there's nothing you're looking for. Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, what am I going to do? I'm going to push back.
Right. No,
I
of
mean,
course.
and
I
obviously,
understand.
he's saying what he has to say.
Right.
Mystery surrounds the Jeffrey Epstein files after Bondi claims tens of thousands of videos. Tens of thousands. Jesus Christ.
Tell you what.
Chill. Oh, my God.
The physical evidence of Jeffrey Epstein's obsessive surveillance tactics doesn't just raise eyebrows, it raises chilling questions. His lavish properties weren't simply outfitted with basic security systems, they were drenched in cameras, hidden in every corner, every shadow. According to Maria Farmer, one of the earliest accusers, the surveillance wasn't subtle, she recalled, seeing entire walls lined with monitors showing real-time footage of private spaces, bedrooms, bathrooms, even toilets. This wasn't about protecting wealth or preventing break-ins. It was about control, relentless, invasive control. What Epstein built was more than a fortress, it was a panopticon, a place where his guests and victims were likely being watched at all times, whether they knew it or not. These weren't ordinary security measures. This was a high-tech, purposefully designed surveillance network that feels less like something a financier would use and more like something out of a covert intelligence playbook. And here's where the mystery darkens further. Some experts and investigators now speculate that Epstein's true operation may have been much larger than trafficking and abuse. It may have involved systematic blackmail, with hidden cameras allegedly positioned in rooms where powerful figures engaged in questionable behavior. Epstein could have gathered material designed to compromise them permanently. Political elites, business titans, celebrities, if they were in his orbit, there's a possibility they were being recorded. To this day, suspicions linger that hidden devices might still exist, buried deep in the walls or ceilings of his mansions in Manhattan, Palm Beach, or the infamous Little St. James Island. Devices that, if discovered, could expose a spiderweb of secrets never meant to see the light of day. Could Epstein have been acting alone? Or was he merely the frontman for a much larger intelligence operation, one possibly connected to foreign powers or shadowy global interests? The horrifying truth is that we may never know the full extent of what was captured, who was targeted, or where those recordings ended up. But one thing is certain, Epstein's surveillance obsession wasn't paranoia, it was strategy. And it may have given him the kind of untouchable power that kept him shielded for years. As investigations continue and new layers of his operation are slowly peeled back, one can't help but wonder how many careers, governments, or lives were quietly manipulated behind the scenes with footage that was never meant to be seen.
He had like 100 cameras in that penthouse, in every single house.
You know his house is for sale in New York?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Should
And
make that a podcast studio.
no, my wife found it on Trulia or whatever it is.
Yeah.
One of the maps. And she's like, look at this beautiful, because we were in
The
New York.
townhouse?
Yeah, like, it's not a townhouse. It's a house. It's like, it's a big-ass house. It's like multiple stories.
The one right across the street from Central Park? Yeah.
That one. It's for sale right now.
How much?
I think it was like 60 or 70 million, something like that, which is what it's worth. But who wants to live in the Epstein house? First of all, if I bought that house, I'd want the Clinton painting. Can you get me that painting?
Yeah.
Clinton in the
It's
blue
gotta
dress.
come with all that shit
I
inside.
have to have that painting. I want George Bush with the Jenga towers and the paper airplanes. I want all of it.
And then the lady just died too. The lady got hit by a car.
And this is what proved
Yeah.
magical. The selective use of evidence in both the Diddy and Epstein cases reveals something far more disturbing than just high-profile scandal. It uncovers a deeply rooted pattern of political manipulation and narrative control across the political spectrum. Both the left and the right seem less interested in truth and more obsessed with using whatever fragments of information serve their own agendas. They cherry-pick details, twist timelines, and conveniently ignore anything that doesn't align with their story. But let's be clear, this isn't about justice or accountability, it's about power. At the heart of this mess is something far darker, the insidious, calculated art of compromise. In Epstein's case, there's compelling reason to believe he wasn't just a predator, he was a strategist. Reports suggest he deliberately lured powerful individuals into compromising situations by presenting underage girls as adults, filming these encounters, and storing the footage as blackmail currency. These weren't random acts of exploitation, they were carefully orchestrated traps, and in Diddy's case, the patterns of silence, retracted statements, and mysteriously missing evidence hint at similar tactics being used to build networks of protection at the highest levels. So what's really going on? Why do critical pieces of evidence vanish? Why do investigations stall just as they reach the threshold of accountability? The answer may lie not in incompetence but in design. The higher you climb in elite circles, the more useful it becomes to have dirt on someone else. It's not just corruption, it's currency. And if you think this is only about Epstein or Diddy, think again. This is a glimpse into how influence is maintained in the modern world, not by truth, but by secrets. If you're tired of surface-level coverage and want to explore the hidden connections, the power plays, and the uncomfortable truths the mainstream avoids, subscribe to my channel right now. We're diving deep, no spin, no filters, just raw reality. And trust me, you won't want to miss what comes next.
And I like to take things that are happening and then controversial things, like for Epstein example, and I like to just call my mom and argue with her, argue the right-wing side against my mom's point of view on Epstein, and then I'll call my dad and I'll make the same argument toward the opposite argument towards him. It's like a fucking thought experiment, or like a critical thinking exercise.
You use your parents
And
to
my
spar with.
mom, she'll be like, of course, Trump, there's more footage of Trump with Epstein than anybody. Are you kidding me? He's partying with him here. Of course he's compromised. And then my dad's like, it's fucking Clinton, bro. It's it's only Bill Clinton. Look, he's the only one on the Epstein files. Of course we know he's a pervert, all this stuff. But and then you have, so the funny thing is, both sides will use their little batch of evidence to support their idea and ignore the opposite, right? So the girl we were just talking about, Virginia, she was literally on video saying that all this shit about Bill Clinton on the jet, going to the island, hanging out with Trump and all this stuff. And the right-wing people, like people I know, my parents and older folks I know in Florida, will say, she came out, thank you for exposing Bill Clinton for being a pedo and doing all this stuff. And Virginia Giuffre, after this happened, she's like, you guys didn't listen to the whole fucking tape. She's like, I was telling you that Trump was at the penthouse 3 days a week and visiting him, but you guys don't want to hear that. And it's it's just this weird thing. If you do the math, there's gotta be so many high-level, powerful people that are somehow compromised. And do I think Clinton and these guys are pedos? No, I don't think that at all. But if you were Jeffrey Epstein, you would.
The dark appeal of Jeffrey Epstein's secretive empire, the so-called locked-down organization, wasn't just about luxury or wealth. It was about power, control, and silence. Even after his initial arrest and prosecution, some of the world's most influential figures continued to seek him out. Why? because Epstein offered something most couldn't, an underground network of illicit indulgence wrapped in layers of discretion and security. This wasn't just about vice, it was about leverage. Meetings with high-profile individuals like Bill Gates weren't isolated incidents. They were indicators of just how deep and far-reaching Epstein's influence had become. The truly terrifying realization is this: Epstein's empire wasn't just a playground. For the elite, it was a trap, a sophisticated system designed to collect secrets, compromise reputations, and quietly manipulate global power structures. The so-called missing tapes aren't just lost evidence, they are potential keys to understanding how decisions affecting millions may have been shaped behind closed doors, not by policy or democracy, but by blackmail and fear. They are echoes of a silent war fought with footage instead of weapons, secrets instead of diplomacy. This story is bigger than Epstein. It's a chilling reminder of how private depravity, when mixed with political and financial power, can threaten the very foundations of global order. And until those truths are brought into the light, we are all still living in the shadow of that hidden empire. If you found this perspective eye-opening, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more deep dives into the stories the mainstream won't touch. Hidden truths, dark history, and real talk every week. Stay informed, stay sharp.
Hookers, like it's like they're of age. It's still like whatever he was doing, you preyed on people's desire for experiences and vice.
Yes.
And all these powerful people who, again, they can't just go call a hooker and the hooker goes, "Oh my God, I just blew Bill Gates. This is nuts." You know what I mean? Like, you can't trust them. So you have to trust someone who really has a lockdown organization, and they felt like he did.
Yeah.
And that's why they all hung out with him even after he got arrested. This is what's crazy.
That is crazy.
A lot of Bill Gates meetings with him were after he was prosecuted, and he got this little slap on the wrist, and he got essentially home detainment, and I think he had to do like weekends at the jail. Like it was like crate for underage sex for what's supposed to be a felony. The whole thing is crazy. And then when there's one reporter that really chased it down, I forget her name, but she really looked into it, and that's when they opened up the second case, the second trial. Vicky Ward. Was she from what paper? Vanity Fair. So she was responsible for because she was like, "This is insane. Like, what's going on here?" And then there was the sheriff that had arrested him, said that I was told he was intelligence, and I mean, you gotta think, man, if a guy like that is running these kind of parties with all these rich and powerful people.
The persistent lack of concrete video evidence in the Diddy and Epstein investigations isn't just a curious oversight, it's a glaring void in the pursuit of truth and justice. In an age where cameras are everywhere and digital footprints are nearly impossible to erase, the fact that key footage either doesn't exist or mysteriously disappears should set off alarms for anyone paying attention. This isn't just about one case or one celebrity. It forces us to confront a darker reality, one where certain narratives are carefully crafted, inconvenient truths are buried, and the powerful often exist above the very laws meant to hold them accountable. These missing tapes, these so-called ghosts in the machine, aren't just technical glitches. They're symbolic of a broader failure, a system that seems to protect elites while leaving the public in the dark. If the evidence keeps disappearing, if the timelines keep changing, and if the silence from officials grows louder with each passing day, then we must ask, who is protecting whom and why? But here's the truth they don't want you to hear. This isn't where the story ends. This is where it begins. We must keep asking the hard questions, not just about the alleged crimes, but about the mechanisms that allow critical evidence to vanish without a trace. We must challenge the institutions that fail us, expose the networks that hide in plain sight, and push back against the normalization of secrecy in matters that demand transparency. So if you believe that truth still matters, if you're tired of being misled, silenced, or kept in the dark, then hit that like button and subscribe to Patriot Press right now. Be part of a growing community that refuses to look the other way. Together, we're going to keep the pressure on, keep connecting the dots, and keep speaking out where others stay silent. Thank you for being here with me on Patriot Press. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and never stop questioning. We're just getting started.